What is your first memory of recorded music?
That would be James Brown, the 20 all-time greatest hits. That was the CD that my mom would play every Saturday morning when she would start into cleaning the house every day. So it was always I Feel Good, because that's the very first track. That's probably my first real memory I can think of a record that I consistently heard. You'd hear it in the house, and that would be when you'd have to wake up. That was the wake-up music too. So after school on Friday, then it would be Saturday morning about, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock. I feel good, da, da, da. And that was when the weekend's chores were about to get started. Let me think of the first CD purchase that would be worth mentioning. Is I guess probably the first CD that got me really thinking about music more so than just being something I just bought randomly as a kid was probably a Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. I had a friend of mine that had a CD copy of it, and I just got obsessed with that album. And so I bought my own copy, and I just started listening to it over and over again. Well, you know, Sgt. Pepper is such an interesting album because, one, it has all the pictures of everybody on the front. So first, again, this is a time before the internet, so trying to figure out who each of these people were and looking them up individually in the library, that was a tedious and arduous task, but that was something that I didn't have anything better to do as a kid, so that was something I decided to do on my own. So it was an intriguing album for that. And also just sort of the broad themes that the album reaches into. It just started to really move me. And then also that original version of A Little Help from My Friends. You know, having grown up in the time I did, you know, all I ever knew was Joe Cocker's version of A Little Help from My Friends. So when I heard that original version with Ringo, that sort of early suite was something that really drew me in. There's an album that my dad used to have it was called Rhythm, Country, and Blues. And he would play this CD a lot, and it was duets between R&B artists and country music artists. And there was a particular duet between Conway Twitty and Sam Moore, their version of Rainy Night in Georgia. And my dad would always tell me about how country music and soul music was sung with this particular duet. And he said, you know, with Conway Twitty, he would go really way low, and he'd say, yeah, you know, country singers, when they're doing their thing, they go lower, and when soul singers, they tend to go higher up with their voice when they tend to do their big embellishments and their fireworks. And so he always used that duet as like an example of country western as well as rhythm and blues. And so that's an emotional memory for me, because I think about that every time I think of the song Rainy Night in Georgia. No matter whose version it is, I think about that particular duet. I don't know if I'd say I laugh about it anymore. There are some artists that are kind of funny to bring up to people when they hear that I do a lot of old time music. When I mention like Jim Croce, for example, I was dead on Jim Croce for years and years, and so folks that are deep into old time music, they laugh at that because Jim Croce's real light-hearted music, you know, and even for me, a lot of those early singer-songwriters, like that classic rock, that was something that I was really into. Cat Stevens, Jim Croce, Van Morrison, all these different artists. Again, I wouldn't necessarily laugh at it because I'll probably listen to it when I head back to the car now. But for my old-time music cred, that's they're artists that people are kind of like, oh, you're really into that, are you? But and then also certain parts of alternative music. I mean, I grew up with Green Day and Blink-182 and all these different artists that were really popular during my time. But see, like Blink-182, I probably wouldn't listen to them today, even though it has a certain memory in my mind when it was popular music at that time. Well, I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure, but The Arch Android by Janelle Monáe has been an album that I have constantly revisited since it's come out. It came out in 2010. I still think it's one of the best fusion R&B rap albums to have come out that really referenced older music as well as being very futuristic at the same time. I just thought that first record, that first major record from Janelle Monáe was just really brilliant, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure because, again, in terms of audience base. I'm kind of outside of the normal audience base that Janelle Monáe goes for, but still beautiful and wonderful artist. So I just love that.
I put that under unexpected rather than guilty pleasure because she's a tremendous artist.
My first live show was Bob Dylan and Paul Simon, 1999, at the Desert Sky Arena in Phoenix, and it was, my aunt bought the ticket and then dropped me off to go and see Dylan and Paul Simon, and it was really just awesome because I'd heard their records. Like, I knew Dylan really well by that point. Paul Simon's work I knew through Simon and Garfunkel, but like maybe about 2 weeks beforehand, I got a copy of Graceland, and my mind was blown there. And then getting to see both of them live, it just really was just awesome. And then Paul Simon's band had 3 drummers in it at that time, so to see a triple drum solo was something out of this world for me.
I saw that show in Virginia when I was just in college. I remember that. And I still have the poster actually in my house. It's like I got a train on it or something. It was amazing.
Yeah, I got the T-shirt from that time. Still, and my wife just made me retire it this last year, but I was still wearing that T-shirt for a long time.
Well, I hope retired means it gets in a box somewhere. It's not thrown away.
I couldn't get her to. She wanted to throw it away, and I said absolutely not.
No, there's rules.
Yeah, there's rules to that. Especially that great 2 train. It's just a beautiful image on there. I wouldn't say that. I have a lot of different live show memories, especially once I started touring. I mean, one of my fondest memories, just because it was such an amazing situation, I guess, was seeing Solomon Burke. I was in Denmark doing a show with the Carolina Chocolate Drops festival program, and we played at maybe 5 p.m., and then Solomon Burke played at 2 a.m., and so I had to wait like hours and hours and hours. And this festival, it was pouring down rain. I was in the tent, and all of a sudden, like maybe 1:45, let's say, the band had set up on stage, and all of a sudden, this sweet little silver Lexus shows up. Boom, Solomon Burke. They just take him right into the tent, right off to the side. And then he made his way on stage, and I was just standing there at the wings watching the entire program. And I got to see how he communicated with his band and his backup singers, as well as the different people that worked with him on stage in production. So it was really one of my fondest memories, because it wasn't just a great live show. It was also, I got to see the behind the scenes of that live show as I was watching it. So it was really amazing. And then he passed away maybe like 6-7 months after that, so it was also one of his last major festival performances. So that's one of my fondest memories. I'd be somewhere between Charlie Patton and between Charlie Patton, I'll say Leadbelly this time, just to keep it real bluesy, just because these are 2 performers that they're such dynamic performers on record. I would have loved to have seen them in person and had a chance to just like kind of feel their energy. Leadbelly, you get a little bit of a chance since he recorded so often, but Charlie Patton, that's someone I would have just loved to have seen live and just really gotten a chance to pick his brain on how he plays his songs. Ooh, there are a lot of perfect albums. Marty Robbins' Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs, The Zombies' Odyssey and Oracle, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Mona Bone Jackin' by Cat Stevens. What's another perfect record? Flatt and Scruggs Live at Carnegie Hall, Doc Watson, the first self-titled album, Bob Dylan, Desire, Blood on the Tracks, Highway 61 and Bringing It All Back Home, Eric Anderson, About Changes and Things. And I could keep going on and on with some of those records, but those to me are all very perfect records in every sort of way with each song. Van Morrison, Moondance, that's another good one. That's a perfect record as well. I was thinking about this lyric just the other day, especially because there are so many different voices that are being implanted into our brains every day, whether TV, conversations, or social media or anything, which is, there's a song from Bob Dylan called Up to Me. It is an unreleased song from Blood on the Tracks, and the verse is, now if I had thought about it, I never would have done it, and I guess I would have let it slide. If I had paid attention to what others were thinking, the heart inside me would have died. But I was just too stubborn to ever be governed by enforced insanity. Someone had to reach for the rising star, and I guess it was up to me. And that's the type of verse that I've always kept right close to my heart, because it's, and especially as the years have gone on, I found that type of verse still strikes deep into my heart and holds true today.